So we were talking about last time social media and effects. I was thinking too, have you ever asked any of these guys like how important it is to them to communicate?
I have, and that's how the conversation actually came up because they were never asked, if they even valued connections, right? Because you just go and you're this silo. Men are just a silo. We just do. We bear the brunt of the work. We're the heavy load bearers, and that's just what we do. And I've stopped and asked them. I said, "Don't you think that there's more to existing than just existing?" And being something for someone else, but then you're frustrated, you're constantly mad, you're constantly angry, and you have all these aggression things, and you have no idea what's going on. You don't know how to communicate it, you don't know how to talk about it, but this stuff is happening, and you're left to deal with it on your own. Don't you? How does that make you feel? And then when I start asking those questions, because because I've done the work, I can see, you know, I can see how the people I've talked to get caught in a cycle, right? They never face the issue. They keep running into the same problems, different faces, and they're wondering, like, what's wrong with me? I'm like, there's nothing really wrong with you. You can't see your way out because you don't even know there is one, right? You're just on this hamster wheel, like, well, that's what I'm supposed to do. This is how I'm supposed to be. And I'm like, don't you see that something's wrong here? And then, what do you mean? And then when I start to explain, it's like the scales start to fall off, and they say, I am isolated. I'm by myself. I'm alone. It's like I do feel alone. I'm like, I didn't say all that, but they start to realize, like, wait a minute, there is more going on than what I have initially saw because nobody ever took the time to help them to see. So I guess you could say it's partly
I
my
mean,
fault
what do you mean? What do you mean no one ever took the time for them to see?
to help them to see.
I don't know. Like I just feel like true men are ones that are accountable.
Yeah, but what is accountability?
Well, accountability, I don't think needs to be where it's like, oh, this other person helped open my eyes to this. Like like the accountability to me is like I notice there's a problem in my life. I'm going to do something about it. I'm not going to look for someone to see me as the victim.
No, I can understand that, and a lot of times too, what I have noticed is that people say, "Oh, I'm accountable," and I'm like, okay, who are you accountable to? Like I'm accountable. I will hold myself accountable because of integrity. Not everybody has integrity, right? If I said I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. That's one of the reasons why I don't give you commitments about stuff because you're always want to do stuff and be competing. And I'm like, dude, I don't want to compete right now. I just want to go have a great time and just chill. And then when I'm able to like say, hey, I can meet up with you, I can do this, and then I do my very best to do that. Like I still owe you that freaking trail run that you wanted to do that I didn't figure it out. You want to do it under what, an hour? I haven't forgotten about that. I'm like, man, can I do it? Can I do it the next time I come into town? But I made the commitment just there. I know that has to happen because I said I would do it.
That's a good point. And the thing about the locker room is it's typically after that workout. And in order to work out, you have to have discipline. You also have to be disciplined with the relationships that you're fostering, whether it be that committed partner or that loyal friend. And that's few and far between with a lot of people. I can't tell you how many times like I I observe I observe actions because words don't mean as much at the end of the day. I can't tell you how many times I've heard people say, I'll call you back, and they don't call you back. Like that means something to me. When someone says they're going to do something, that's fine, but I'm observing your actions. If If you're not going to do it, then don't do it. Don't say that you're going to do something that you're not going to execute on. And if you drop the ball, be accountable and be like, "Hey, I know I was supposed to call you back. I'm sorry this came up." That's fine. Now, when it comes to guys communicating with women, I'm not a big believer in saying necessarily apologize because that doesn't mean as much as the accountability piece. Be accountable.
Mhm.
Women don't really want to hear that I'm sorry. They want to see a man that's accountable.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that because I'm the same way. Like, don't tell me you're gonna do something and then you don't do it. Like, I would much rather you say, "Hey, I can't." My brother, he knows my little brother. Um, I think I shared this with you, right? And I'm sharing it again for those who don't know. I'm at a place right now with my little brother, and it's all in love. So you can say whatever you want. Um, when I ask him a question that requires a commitment to something, like a date, location, something like that, and he does not reply back with a yes or a no or a date or a time. Yes, I will be here. Yes, we will this or no this. And it's we'll see. I don't know. I'll get back to you. Maybe, possibly, perhaps. Anything like that, I immediately stop listening because I'm not going to have my mental real estate filled with that non-payment crap. Right? I can't
Well, we
do
talked
it.
about that too. We talked about that. Like one of the biggest pet peeves I can't stand is that word maybe because I might as well just count that as no. If you're, it's the same thing with the word what is it? The word try. Either be committed to it or don't. How do you try to get to the gym? You
Yeah.
either gonna be at the gym or you're not going to be at the gym.
Yeah, now I can see like you're on your way to the gym and there's traffic, there's an accident, something happened, and you're pressing to get to the gym. And then it's like, okay, you know what, you had all that you can have, and you're like nowhere near close. It's been like 2, 3 hours. Okay, you made an effort to get there, right? And then like maybe it's like, okay, I can understand, like, I can't answer that right now. Let me look at my schedule and I'll give you a call back tomorrow with an answer. That is a commitment to go doing something and responding back at a specific time, right? This whole, I don't know, I'll get back to you. You can get back to me at my funeral, you
Yeah.
know?
And we can blame society, we can blame reason why men can't communicate, but at the end of the day, it all starts with you. You need to be
Yeah.
accountable.
And I think when it comes to going back to what we've been talking about, the realistic pursuit with squads, or the idealism, a lot of men don't want to be held accountable. They don't want it because that means that they have to make a commitment to change, and comfort is the enemy of change.
Mhm.
And it goes back to
Wait, did
something
you say they don't want to change?
they don't want to change.
Ah,
Which brings back, originally the whole point of this conversation is like they want the squads, but they
I
want
think
the
I think they want the change. And the reason why I say that is because it's kind of like how, in every relationship, they typically always, something grows from, I want this person to change. Well, you didn't want them to change it back then, but now you want them to change. And the thing is that you probably have heard, I wish he would change, or I wish she would change, and da da da. It's like that's fine. And usually the other person that's receiving that feedback, it's uncomfortable for them to want to change because somebody else is wanting them to do it. But when you want to change, like obviously you want to change because you went to the gym. You want to eat healthy because you're making these choices. I believe we all want to change. It's a matter of, like you said, comfort is an enemy in ourselves, and it really can eat away at you because man, that couch, that streaming that new TV series, whatever it may be, it will keep you locked in. You gotta push through that comfort because at the end of the day, it's not doing you any good.
Mm-hmm.
Someone said too, like when you're eating, an unhealthy lifestyle, it's just you're just fueling a massive train and it's going to hit you. Maybe not today, maybe not this year, but 10, 20 years from now, you're going to feel that train hitting you. You're going to feel all the aches and pains because you filled your body with all the sugar and fat and all the other stuff that you shouldn't be filling yourself with.
But you said something there too, like people want the change. It's like my thing with that is this, right? This is my thing with that. Everybody can want to change, um, but wanting it bad enough to take the actions, right? Will you change? Because I can want a Lamborghini all day long, but am I going to do what's necessary to get it?
But that comes from the psychology of we typically change from a place of fear, of loss, and scarcity. You'll notice that most people end up changing when they've lost something or it's scarce. That usually sets the fire underneath them. They rarely move from a place of, yeah, I'm pretty comfortable right now. Let me go and do this. It typically takes a wake up call from the doctor to say, you need to start eating right. You need to start doing this exercise. It usually takes an ultimatum from your partner to be like, if you don't do this, I'm doing this. Like it's fear and scarcity. Unfortunately, it's the stick that tends to motivate people. I don't know why that is, but it's like, I guess because comfort is so at our fingertips at this point, the phone becomes a distraction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. It's like when the pain of staying is greater than the pain of leaving, right? It's always some type of pain. I never really understood why there has to be pain, but you know what? That's the greatest motivator we have so far. For me, it's God, but not everybody has that in their perspective. Did you?
No, what I mean, onto what you're saying too, is like the Bible's even talked about, like here on earth, you're going to experience hard times. God's not going to give you this easy life. I mean, if you had an easy life and he gave you every prayer that you asked for, you're not going to appreciate it. So you're supposed to have that pain. That's where, like I was saying earlier, that we need to have these families where it's balanced, where there's a woman and a man. So then that way, that young boy that turns into a man understands the balance that you're supposed to have tough times. You're supposed to skin your knees occasionally. Mom needs to stand back and let you fall off that bike and let you feel that pain for the moment. And then you get back on that bike. That's where mom and dad say, encourage you to get back on it, do it again. You're probably going to skin your knees again, but eventually you're going to be riding smooth. And it's never fun to go through those tough times, but it is so important to just kind of realize that pain equals gains.
Yeah, that's true. My experience, I would like to say, right? Some people would stop me and say that this statement is not correct, but I'm going to make it anyway for the sake of our conversation. A lot of the things that I have had to endure has been either, I want to say, unknowingly self-inflicted, and isolated experiences, meaning like, um, I had to go through it seemingly by myself with people around me not really knowing what it was that I was facing or dealing with because externally I appeared to have it together. I appeared that I was nice because I didn't get in trouble. I didn't cause trouble. I did what I was supposed to do. And I was a good boy, right? I was a good man. Went to school, got good grades, didn't cause any stress or heartaches or pain to the folks. I cleaned the house. I did everything I was supposed to do externally from the appearance, but internally, man, did I have a whole bunch of stuff going on, right? So much stuff. So when you talk about those pain points, um, there were a lot of distractions along the way that that I gave into and chose to kind of like provide the narrative for my journey, you know? Um, with a lot of people, a lot of men now, when they're pursuing, these squat goals or trying to find their tribe, they hit a lot of distractions that kind of derail them. What are some of the distractions that have you seen men come across? Because I know for me, busyness, right? That was a distraction. being busy, so busy that I couldn't face what I needed to face, having like projects that have ridiculous standards and way far above average standards that were impossible for the average man to do. But I was like, well, damn it, I'm gonna do it just so I can show the world that I can do something. Why? Because I was silly. But now I'm, now I'm not that. But like, what are some of the distractions that um you think plague men when it comes to, actually having these squads and or stop living in the idealistic realm of make believe.
I'd say seasons of life. Um, if you're engrossed in some type of project, that's just a season that you brought onto yourself. And we're all about choices, right? That's why we're here on earth. It's about choices. Um, you may have a newborn and you want to write a book, you got a job. It's probably not the season of life to try to juggle the book and the job, and that you need to be present for your partner and be in a supporting role. So it just depends on, what season of life that man's in. Um, Comfort, in America, we are, the top 1 percentile out of the billions of people in this world economically. And so that allows us to have a lot of distractions to, again, sit down on that couch and stream whatever favorite, series that we want to watch. Our partner, you know, I think a lot of times guys don't think about choosing, is this going to be the mother of my child versus they get caught up in, a combination of like comparing, I guess, the ideal type of woman for society as a reflection. And I think the same thing goes for women as well, trying to find that right guy. Because at the end of the day, when you're young and you're prime, everything is aesthetics, but at the end of the day, that 80-year-old person doesn't look like they did in their 20s. So they're missing a lot of elements, this is stuff that they don't teach you in school. Um, so I think that's a lot of reasons why we don't get to the level where we're at. We're also not setting goals. We're not, living from a place of it's kind of like, it's funny, when you're touching on religion a little bit, it's funny how people tend to pray, it seems like the most when something disastrous happens. And I know this has been probably beating a dead horse, but we've said this so many times, like gratitude, gratitude, gratitude. It's like, yeah, we don't pray enough about things that we're grateful for versus other people that have so much. And I think one person said, if you brought your worry, if everybody came together and brought like their concerns and the worries to the center of this world, you'd find out that yours was hardly anything compared to everybody else, and you would take yours away from that big ball.